This is definitely not the music I queued up. One sec. Good morning. Good morning. I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off trying to get ready. Still got a half-eaten lunch on my desk. I have brushed my teeth though, so hopefully there's not any half-eaten lunch in my teeth. We've got coffee, we've got water. Let me sort out this music situation and then we'll be on our way. Looks like we had the old last week's Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 soundtrack queued up to play. Clear queue. Queue up. Zaba. Add to queue. Still woozy. Add to queue. We will get through this song and then we'll get back to chill songs. But hello. Welcome in, folks. Yeah, it's been a gosh darn busy week. I did a little trip over to Denver so Tony Sprocket and I could work together on some stuff, do some meetings, do some peer coding. Got a bunch of stuff done. We worked mostly on the Game Genie system that we were building last week on stream, so that was pretty fun. It's looking pretty good. He has it building basically the equivalent of arcade style games at this point. So you can basically say like, hey, give me Pac-Man. It'll make Pac-Man, but then you can also say like add dinosaurs, and it adds enemies that have their own logic, their own sprites, their own like interactions with the game. It added meat to pick up in addition to fruit when you added dinosaurs. So it's kind of fun to just be able to spin up these old arcade games and just like put your own twist on them. I'm probably not going to be working on that this week on stream because I'm still in the middle of getting it all working for me. But we will return to the 2D project that we were working on a couple weeks ago. Let me actually jump over there. And, we're just going to play music. I have been so social all week, so I'm just going to vibe. I'm going to talk through what I'm working. If anybody's got questions, happy to chat. Also, happy April Fools for everyone. If you haven't, you should listen to your Spotify DJ, at least for a minute. And let me know if you see anything else fun out there, because the most fun thing that I've seen is player-controlled houses in World of Warcraft. And I'm a big fan of April Fools, but the last several years it's been pretty hard to find any good ones. Alright, I think we are golden. I have not worked on this project in a week. We did do some pretty cool level design last time, I would say. We have obviously like small bugs to fix and stuff, but hopefully we don't get too in the weeds on bugs. But we do have a pretty big town that I think maybe this week we could add some NPCs to, get them talking to us, maybe generating quests, maybe we do an inventory system, maybe we do a crafting system. As a reminder, we have this game already built, kind of. Let me grab a Chrome window, jump over here. We have Elixir Emporium 2D here, which was a prototype for our 3D game, where you can get quests and craft items and give those items to NPCs to solve quests. But it is a menu simulator, so I've been working on a 2D world for it. Just kind of like the retro arcade vibe. You'll have the same NPCs, same sort of like item crafting system where dirt and mud crafts into clay. clay and needle and thread. Maybe we'll get a golem, clay doll. We're getting there. But yeah, let's give our clay doll a crystal. This sort of thing. Talk to people. Give them the items you craft to solve their quests. I think we went 3D because we wanted to add like foraging and other stuff, and why not take advantage of this and throw a little 2D world on top too. Howdy Tony, welcome in. How's it going? Let's go ahead and we still have that small little sprite issue when we are walking, but we've got a whole town now, so I think we can add some NPCs. I guess it's fine. We can walk up that. We have walls and stuff properly set up. But I think we can either go the NPC route where we add some NPCs that the player can talk to, or we get some like UI HUD stuff, maybe inventory, maybe interacting with stuff. I guess the easiest thing might be to just poke around our assets and see what we have already. But let me fill this hole real fast. If I can remember all the terrain controls. Cool. And then we also have a lot of like props and things that we can add to the town. So if we go to like props with colliders, like we can add some statues and trees and other stuff that the player can interact with, which will be really cool. But I think we'll hold off on that decoration until we have like interacted with objects rigged in. But maybe we could just do something real quick then. But I am excited to set up something very ominous and cool up here. But yeah, let's see if we've got any characters, or maybe a HUD might be a little simpler to start with. We have this giant super retro collection asset that we got, which is where all these sprites come from, where our player character sprite comes from. We have animated sprites, all the props and things all come from that. So we're going to poke through and see if we can get something that resembles a HUD. If not, we'll start on NPCs. We have a lot of like entity sprites. We might not have any HUD stuff. That's fine. Alrighty. Well, what do we got here? All right. We can work with this. They probably have a sample demo scene. Let's poke around some of these. Demo scene. What do we got in here? I guess we'll play so we can click around. I'm sure it's all rigged up. Oh, it's not actually rigged up. Very mobile game vibes. But let's see. Like, these are fine. This is almost identical, actually, to some of the UI we have in here. Like, I'm sure it's the same coin icons that we used. I mean, we have a few, but yeah, we can work with this. Because we don't even need to do like much UI from the get-go. We just kind of need like a way to open your inventory, and then some sort of visualization for your inventory, and also like a crafting area, or even like a specific crafting workbench or something. So we'll poke through here. We'll see if there's anything here that might serve for inventory or crafting. These are pretty cheesy though. Yeah, this, I think we use this exactly. If we go to here, yeah, you see the border. That is this border. Cool. We can probably do something like this. We get some filters going on items. And then instead of equipment over here, maybe just like a crafting thing. See if there's anything better. Like, could do something like that. Oof. Yeah, this is definitely the same icons. Cool. Alrighty, so that'll make things simple. What we want to do is let's go find... I guess we can just grab the equipment panel from here. Let's turn this off. Let's turn off widgets so we can see what we're working with, and item detail ain't it. Panel equipment is probably what we're looking for. It is bright out. Hold up. Alrighty, so we can work with this. Let's yoink that. Let's go back to our scene, 2D town scene. Create a canvas. We place that bad boy in. And I guess we'll just... Can I paste directly in to where it won't resize? The question. Paste as child. Control Shift V. I see. Cool. And what was the other one? Keep world transform. Yeah, I don't think we want that. Control Shift V. Cool. We are gonna need to do a little bit of work on the responsive design since we're targeting a really small window, but should be fine. That's pretty small. And I guess we can do a slightly larger window. And rip a bunch of stuff out. What is this supposed to be? Auto select. Oh, I don't think we need any of that. Let's resize this guy. It's probably got a padding on the bottom. Alrighty, things are cleaning up a little bit. We're basically gonna just mirror like this design here, where we have our items on the right, but in a grid. We bring them over to a workbench or something, drag them on top of each other to combine them. Moss-covered enchanted doll. So we can even move some stuff around, just carve out all the space we can, really. Let's align this with left side. We probably don't want this taking up the whole window. We probably want a little bit of padding on the edges so players know that they're like still in the main town scene and not taken away, so they could just close it. Okay. So let's grab... They're gonna have frames. Maybe we can even just kind of skip trying to find it here by UI image and then searching frame here. Well, we've got lots of NPCs to work with. Different kind of frame though. Let's size it where we're at. And then we'll search our frame. We'll probably do something like this. Oh, there we go. Wish I could just get the, there we go. Just the like frame with the transparent background. Cool. And then we'll put a little like, title. Gotta have more coffee, dang. We'll put a little title here that explains what's going on. But for now, let's see. Where do we find text title? Crafting. We'll just say inventory. Hello, hello, human. Wow, that was very loud in my ears. I didn't realize it was that loud. Hello, welcome in. How's it going? Very tired today. And have a bunch of stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes that is all broken. And we're doing some fun just like 2D stuff on stream. So we're just vibing. How's it going over there? You had a pretty good stream yesterday, but I couldn't stay in the whole time. I was in and out all day. But looked pretty good. He shout out to a regular human. If you ever are looking for someone who does great 3D modeling on stream, yesterday he had a banana making stream, and he did some other stuff too, but you know, it was a great time. I think everything on this screen is way too big. Yesterday was wild from the viewer count, but I barely made any progress. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, the more viewers, the kind of less you get done. So there's pros and cons there, I suppose. Excuse me, sorry. I have talked up a storm this week, and I think I have like bruised my throat. So occasionally it just sneaks up on me. Let's see if we can get this grid a little smaller. We don't necessarily need our images quite that big. And I mean, the filters are fine, I think, because it kind of matches the title size, but at least the grid we can nix a little bit. Are these guys gonna need resized? Yeah. We'll see if that's worth doing. I'm in the middle of doing translations for all the Steam pages. That's a lot of work. Yeah. Are you using anything specific for those translations? Or are you like just Google translating it? I haven't yet got into the translations for like our Elixir page, and I'm setting up our You're Not Alice page right now. Not looking forward to just translating everything, but could be fun. ChatGPT. I've heard of people using ChatGPT over Google Translate for translating. I'd be curious how it'll work for you. You let everything be checked by natives. Yeah, that's probably a good way to go either way, I think. I feel like I was watching someone stream. I'm trying to remember who it was. Someone streamed a couple weeks ago where he was setting up translations in like a big spreadsheet that people could just come and edit. And I feel like that didn't work very well. I can't remember exactly who it was, but doesn't seem like the best way to do things. But hopefully it works out for him. So I think if we have one item rigged up correctly, we can probably just copy him to see how things look that way. Is this too small? Maybe. Let's cut down on the spacing. Might still be too small, actually. Like 96. 64 was too small. I mean, maybe not if you full screen this. It's. I mean, we're kind of seeing like games like Diablo and stuff where you're managing your inventory intentionally don't give you that many slots for a lot of reasons, but also just so you're not overwhelmed by tons and tons of icons here. This is probably too small for that reason. Last week we talked about hot dogs. Which food do we talk about today? Let's talk about spicy food, Human. How spicy do you go? If you go to like a Thai restaurant, are you going, or you got a Thai restaurant and they're like 1 to 5 spice, sir? What are you saying? 5 most spicy? Spicy. Oh. I normally go pretty like either medium or like slightly below medium, but lately I've been eating a little bit more spicy. But I just had some lunch right before stream, which I guess there's no point showing on stream, but my wife made a what is it? It's not like a banh mi bowl. Maybe it is. Like ground beef, zucchini, rice, carrots, some other stuff, and then like sriracha on top. It was so good, but I scarfed it down right before I was starting the stream, and it was so spicy. Oh, jalapenos also. It was so spicy. I've got a thing of milk here that I just chugged down, and I was still like, but it was so good. You're the ultimate chicken when it comes to spiciness. The thing is, there's always a risk that the food isn't enjoyable anymore if it's too spicy. Yeah, exactly. Like, I want to be able to taste the stuff under the spice. Like, spice is good for just kind of giving it a little kick, making things a little bit more interesting. But I'm not eating the food for the spice. I could just go eat like raw jalapenos for that. Let's try 72. It's looking a little better. 84. No, it's interesting. I mean, especially when we consider that it scrolls. This could be fine. This could be a good size, although we want some padding around it, but I think that's probably fine. We'll do some tooltips on them. How's it going? Yeah, hey Tony. It's going good. Tony, how spicy do you like your food? I think this will be fine. Very, very spicy. Yes, yes. I was just at Tony's place for a few days last week, and he's a very spicy guy. Did I show you Pac-Man? Haven't heard about Pac-Man. Unless you're talking about that Metroidvania with Pac-Man. No, let me show you Pac-Man real quick. You saw last week I was working on our system for basically building games through text. Saying like, hey, can you add this? Hey, can you change that? Tony's been working very hard behind the scenes to get a lot of that working. And he recently had it make Pac-Man. And then I told him, make it add dinosaurs, see what it does. And let me grab the video. But it's kind of wild to see that it, in just like some text from somebody who doesn't make games, is like, hey, can you make Pac-Man for me? And it spits out this, which is working Pac-Man that you play and has ghosts with AI and all that. And then you can also be like, you know what? I really like dinosaurs. So can you add dinosaurs? And it adds in like meat as another thing that you can collect that just gives you a bunch of points. But you'll also see different dinosaurs. Here's one that runs across the screen. I don't think it's in this video, but there's also like really fast dinosaurs that chase you down. Maybe he can share some other videos on Discord. But it's pretty fun. I'm excited to make some of the older like arcade games and just like throw twists on them and see what happens. Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's pretty wild what it can do. It cannot even comprehend. Yeah, I mean it's like a Unity project. This one actually doesn't even use Unity. We have it working in Unity as well. So the way it works is like it's a server that you talk to, and it uses like ChatGPT or Claude or something to get that like really powerful reasoning. But that server exposes a bunch of tools for interacting with other stuff and like strategies. So this one uses 3JS, and it has strategies for like, okay, the user wants to create Pac-Man, so we need to break that down into like tons and tons of steps of like, okay, we need to draw the ghosts, we need to draw the Pac-Mans, we need to draw the level design, we need to rig up the fruit, that effect, we need to do all this, hook up scores, and then it'll like loop back and do all of those by just writing all the files. It'll then go read all the files to see like how they work, so it'll add new files to work with them. It's very cool so far. And the Unity version will actually like, it'll add all the files to your project that you need, and it'll also like execute Unity code inside Unity. So it'll do things like GameObject.find, canvas.add component, blah, blah, blah. So it'll add the script and then just add it to the objects in your scene. And it'll like modify the values in the scripts, and it's very cool. But he's been working on the 3JS version as well, because if you take Unity out of the picture, you should be able to do all that just from the browser too. So we're excited to share that and get people like building games from the browser effectively and like sharing it with people. So that's going to be very cool. Do we know of other guys or companies working on some similar generations? We've seen like this protocol that we're working with only came out like a month ago or so. So we've seen some people that have like built some prototypes of like, oh yeah, it technically interacts with Unity. Like you can tell it, hey, go create this object. But we haven't really seen anyone doing the full like break it down into steps, like what all needs done, and then looping back and seeing like, oh, we added this script, but there was compilation errors. So let's go spawn another process to like paste in those compilation errors and fix that, and then go back to the original thing and put in the fixes. We're trying to make it work for people that want to make games but don't really know how to yet. So very interesting challenge to do. I think this looks good for our grid size, actually. We can even take our crafting area and maybe center that a little bit better too. Line it up with the arrow. Cool. So let's also, while we're here, just clean stuff up. Let's give this a background or a border as well. How does the generated code look like? It looks honestly as good as a lot of the code I write. Very human readable. It's basically like if you go to ChatGPT right now and say like, hey, will you write me a script for like A-star pathfinding? It's basically doing that, but instead of just giving you the script back, it looks at your whole project to see like how you're already doing things, and then writes the script that works with what you have, and then also puts it in your project, and then also it can like modify your other project files to just use that script. So it follows your style effectively, but for generating stuff from scratch, it's also very human readable. Do we have any code snippets of it, Tony? I think actually you put something on GitHub. Let me check that. We might not have the actual games on GitHub, but let me poke real quick. I mean, he did a roguelike game in Godot. We also built a server that does this in Godot as well. But here's an example of like the enemy script in Godot. So it's, I mean, it looks very similar to what you would write yourself, I would say. I don't do a lot of Godot, but this looks pretty reasonable to me. Looks readable at least. But it does some like state management stuff, animation stuff, cooldowns. Seems reasonable to me. I'd say this is much higher quality than the Godot one now. We've made a lot of progress on it since then. Yeah, and I think the code is also probably a little bit better, like quality of the code. But I was just trying to show off like how human readable it is. Looks pretty good to me, I think. Gonna need another border with a transparent background. That could work. There we go. That looks better. Oh right, the 3JS version is also using TypeScript instead of Godot script, GD script. So also interesting side note. One thing that I thought was really, really cool about how it generates stuff in Unity, like if you add a particle system to your scene, you obviously get, let's see, particle system. You have all of these settings, and you can customize all that. I was originally trying to set it up to like add this component and like do all the settings for you for what you wanted. But what it actually ends up doing, just because it's easier for the AI, is to take what this translates into, like the particle system component here is actually a YAML file, and it'll actually just output the entire YAML file done. If you say like, hey, I need a particle system that looks like fire coming up from the bottom of the screen, instead of setting that up in here, it just like says, all right, here's your file, add that to your object that you want it. Which is very, very cool for me, for someone who doesn't know how to make particle systems very well. The reason we use TypeScript is so we can have a bot confirm anything it creates compiles. Yeah. All right, the inventory window looks pretty good so far, I'd say. Let's go ahead and let's do a inventory window manager. We'll write some code, gasp, on screen. It's been a while since I've done that. And we'll just make this toggle on and off when we press I or like tab or something at first. Code, I know, right? It's crazy. Let's do this. Let's do public key code shortcut. Window shortcut, sure, is keycode.I tab. We'll do tab. This is a nice, we went hardcore open world 3D RPG for the 3D version of this. So this is more of a 2D, like very, very casual. Let's do tab to open the inventory. What a wild concept. All right, toggle. Wait, this isn't gonna work because when we toggle this off, the script is gonna be disabled if we do this logic here. Am I not using the new input system in general? We do over in the 3D project. I'm not super familiar with it yet. So I'm just now like, it didn't even occur to me that this wasn't the new input system. I mostly used it for like the access controls, but yeah, I haven't really looked too much into it for button presses, but I don't know if we even have it in this project. I'll take a look. Do you use it as well, Human? So we don't have it in this project, but I can add it. I just haven't worked with it that much. Let's learn some stuff on stream. We'll learn some new input system stuff. And yeah, I guess we don't want this shortcut code on this script anyway, because this will be toggled off and on. Use a mix for general gameplay mechanics. I use the input system, but if I quickly need to debug something. Yeah, that's kind of like if we're setting up like a player controller, I'd probably use the new input system as like, ooh, it can do so much stuff. But if I need to just get a key press, I'm probably going to use the old one. Let's go ahead and enable those in the player settings. Restart our Unity. All right, we shall be right back. Spoilers. You get to see my desktop. And I guess all my Unity projects. Alrighty. So we'll take all this out. Making my character fly through colliders is, for example, only triggerable through the old input system. Interesting. Is that because it's harder in the new input system? Or just like more, there's more setup? Like more boilerplate? I noticed there were a lot of bugs when we transitioned from the old input system to the new input system. It's not as easy, like it's a different way of thinking almost of how you need to set stuff up, like events. We had a lot of bugs around like translating a key press into something that would fire once as an action. Let's do this. Panel, well, I guess we can just stick this on the canvas directly. Let's say keyboard shortcuts, window, keyboard shortcuts. It's more convenient. Yeah, I think that the old input system is so much more convenient. Like you get a little bit extra stuff that you can do in the new input system, but I'm not a convert yet. Public key code, shortcut, inventory is keycode.tab. And then we will void update, blah, blah, blah. Let's do a public game object, window, inventory. If keycode.pressed, is that, how do I use that again? Let's say toggle inventory window on shortcut inventory input.key down. Right. So it runs on the frame that you press it down. Toggles whether it's active or not. Makes sense to me. Let's also just hide it on the start exactly. So I'll set that reference before I forget, and then we can probably go over to the old scene and start pulling over some code. So panel inventory, let's play. Just make sure that toggle works, but it's like 2 lines of code, so I'm sure it will. Yeah. So we'll be able to drag over items, hover over items to get their tooltips. This is almost like, I almost feel like this is too hi-fi in the design. Like maybe we need to find a pixel icon pack or like a pixel UI pack. Cause I don't love the like mobile aesthetic of this. Oh, we can go in the water. Okay. I think it'll get a lot better when we do pixel art for the actual items, but it definitely is a different aesthetic than like from this to this. You could use Allura for that. Yeah, well, I mean, we do the pixel art already for the actual images. I'm just thinking more for like the actual UI design. I probably want to like swap all this out. And like it's, when you work with pixel art, you need to have like the, not the aspect ratio, but like pixels per inch needs to be consistent or else things start looking really, really weird. So like all this is all one tile set and it blends pretty well together. Like these trees are a little bit higher pixels per inch, I'd say. But they're fine. But like if you look at just the curve of these pixel density. That's what I'm looking for. Like the curves of these corners and stuff is so precise. Like compare this corner here and how many pixels make up that curve to like this curve here, which is almost the same size, but is like probably a tenth of the pixels. But I also don't want to go just browsing around the asset store on stream to find a pixel UI thing. So maybe we can use this for now, and I'll just swap out like the aesthetics later after we've coded in all the tooltips and things. But cool, we have an inventory window. Let's go grab some scripts from... I wonder if I can open two scenes at once. Are you mostly using asset store assets? For the images, or for the items, no. I'm going to use the same image generation that we do in 3D Elixir, but with a different model, so it'll be pixel art. But for all the UI and sprite sheets and stuff, yes. Because I want to have the consistency of them all working together or looking good together. I could try to make this stuff. Yeah, I probably will give it another try. But, I mean, I can just... Yeah, try making the spreadsheet off stream. Yeah, I think the hard part about pixel art, I mean, besides getting sliceable sprite sheets, is like the pixel density and just like the aesthetics, because you have so fewer pixels to work with. It's actually a lot harder to make them look consistent. So even like between generations, it gets pretty rough. But like even individual generations sometimes don't slice correctly, don't like right now we have small pixel bug here, which is actually gone right now. I wonder why. Oh, I bet it's from targeting the small resolution. Yeah, there we go. Huh. Okay, so it's resolution based, or we get this because the sprite sheet isn't pixel perfect. But if we target the larger screen, it goes away. Interesting. If we use sample images and a template sprite sheet, yeah, we might be able to get something working. I mean, we want to build that flow anyway. I just think it's a lot of work to set up. But yeah, we'll probably start using that eventually. All right, can I add an additional scene, not a new scene? Town simulator. Can I add open scene additive? Son of a gun, we're cooking. All right. So yeah, you'll notice that our old scene is literally called Town Simulator. The original goal was to have like a town like this, but it's easier to just do menus. So we just did menus, but now we can actually start building that town, which is exciting. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and just... I could move all this stuff over, but I don't really want to edit that scene. I just want to quickly be able to like reference components and stuff. Can't disable the scene, but I can disable the view. Interesting. I haven't really worked much with additive scenes together in the editor before. It's interesting. But, all right, let's see if we can figure out how the inventory is drawn. I think it's an inventory on the persona. Let's poke around and see what we got. Element list panel. It's going to have all of our stuff. You know what? We'll just go over there. Town simulator. We want to look at this. This guy gets populated from somewhere. make sure there's no start script on this. These are all just UI things. Redraw inventory list. Okay. Game manager.instance.inventory. All right, where's our game manager then? We've got an inventory. Add new item to inventory. Called 5 places. Start game. Okay. So when we press start game on the title screen, it's going to add these items, these starter items, to the game manager's inventory. Interesting, which means probably start screen has the game manager with don't destroy, unload. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can work with that. You know what's cool? Ask Microsoft Copilot to do like a 32 by 32 pixel image of another image that you input. Let's do that. I think do I have Copilot installed here? I haven't tried Copilot's image generation at all. Let's do this. Let me bring it in off screen. And let's grab, you know, just something. We got screenshots. We'll take this guy. Can I get a... Womp womp. Okay. We'll try that later. It was a good try, Copilot. Oh man. It's a rough one. Good try though. Good try. That was a great April Fool's joke, Human. Good job there. Alrighty, so this is all the stuff that we're going to have at game start. Let me close that so we don't expose an API key. We've got our inventory, which will be added to... Oh, it essentially outputs a completely different image that's not even 32 by 32. Yeah, that's kind of what I expected. Let's do this. Because I know 4.0 recently got the big image update. But let's say, can I get a 32 by 32 pixel image of this image? Let's see how similar those end up being. Does like a champ? Perfect. Well, I'm suspicious. Because... Well... I mean, technically, that is a 32 by 32 image. They just collapsed the pixels, I think. Probably averaged the pixels per square. Oh, they literally just resized it to 32 by 32. Okay. Let's see. Sorry. Can you actually have a real size, but just pixel art? Then upscaled back with sharp pixel edges. Okay, that's a little closer. Give 4.0 a template image. Give it a form you want to match in a template. I want to see how it does. What do you mean by template image? Also, what is this? Was that in the original image? Oh, that's our menu. I see. Yeah, that is fine. I mean, it kind of works. I can see how this is that. This is art over here on the left. This is just a screenshot. Easy peasy. But I feel like anytime I try and do image work in ChatGPT and it immediately starts with like, all right, let me write some code for you that's just like resizing the image or something, it's not usually going to go well. An example of the style you want, and then if you want like a sprite sheet, an example of the structure of a sprite sheet. Sure, we can try that. I know I've got some sprite sheets somewhere. Here we've got one. Let's where did my window go? Okay. New conversation. I know I'm gonna get throttled real soon. I think 4.0 is only like 2 images per 10 minutes or something. Every time I try and use it, they're like, you can no longer use it. But let's bring in that. Here's a sprite sheet template of the format we want. And also a style reference. So what style do we want? Let's go over to like, you know, we can take one of these guys. Let's take the whole image. It's a very high res pixel art. Can you make an animated sprite sheet for a crystal golem? Place your bets now on whether this will even be usable. It's trying. It's using the new 4.0 image model instead of just writing code. So that's already an improvement. Let's have that over here. Which one is the style I want? This style. We said we had the sprite sheet template, which it should know is this, because that's a sprite sheet. And also style reference. So we'll see if we can make a little animated golem, because that'd be cool to have walking around town. Probably need to give it slightly more instruction. We'll see how it goes. I mean, it looks at first glance like it's going to get the structure correct, but I feel like a lot of the time it is off by like a few pixels, which is hard to see, which really shows up when you actually use the sprite sheet. But, you know, these look pretty animated. Looks like a walking animation, so could be great. All right, we are almost there. If it had like out painting or something, maybe we could generate the rest of it to get it working. But ridiculous golem. I do like the crystal head. I think you're missing the rest of the bottom row. Maybe it'll fix itself. We'll see. But if I just take this, drag it over yonder, turn it into a sprite sheet, open the sprite editor and see how it slices. Will it do it automatically? I mean, we can do the grid size ourselves, I guess. Could potentially get there. We can do like an offset. kind of. A little bit of Y pad. We almost need to go double up. Well, let's see if we got a new. No, that's fine. Do that. I thought it was generating this whole time. All right. So how does one slice when it's not the same height and width, and also looks like there's different. Wait, we can maybe reduce the offset, increase the height. We can just ignore the bottom row, I suppose. Yeah, okay. Cool. So if we take this bad boy, did it slice? Slice. Why is it not slicing? Okay, we have our sprites now. So it's been a while since I've actually like put a sprite in game, but let's go look at our scenes. 2D town. We'll look at our player sprite. It's got an animator. I've never seen an animator for a 2D sprite, but I guess that makes sense. Right, idle's not gonna do nothing. Run. We can't just swap in the sprite sheet to quickly test it because it's different per cell. And it's oh yeah, I guess we don't even have like up, left, right, down. We just have right walk, what's probably left walk, and then maybe that could have been up or down. But we should get a sense of how they animate together if we just cycle through this way. So we do need to like adjust the actual like point within the center, or the center point of each sprite, because we don't actually want like root motion here. These should all be centered. But I could definitely see how this kind of could be like a backwards walk animation. It's not super clear because the legs never cross. But this one's a lot better. If only they were centered. And that one could probably work. I'd probably kill one of the two middle sprites and just do like a 3-point sprite. But this second line works pretty well if we recentered it. I think there's probably too much work on this for us to get this golem in the game right now, though. So let's go ahead and we know we have the items in the game from the start screen. The town simulator scene draws the UI based on that, so we can just take that code and draw it in here instead. That was pretty good though. Yeah. I bet if we did some optimization on the prompt and on the template images, we could get something reliable. Probably so. And also like especially in our pipeline that uses like Comfy UI or Automatic 1111, we can more strongly control the output. Like one thing we could do is we can pass through like a what's it called? Normally they're used to like if you want a picture of someone in like this pose, you would have like a, what's the file called? Like a structure file or something that shows somebody in this pose, but like black on white basically. We could probably do that for a grid and like with center points and stuff, and then potentially be able to use those center points to generate each grid centered in that point. And then we could strip those out after the actual generation runs through, and we would be able to get rid of the grid, but just have the anchor points that it gave. Hollowed Luck. I recognize that name. How is Chrono Trigger going, my friend? How's it going? Welcome on in. What's up, my friend? Come to check out what you're working on today. Today we are just kind of working around on some random stuff. We put out a big demo on Steam a few weeks ago, so we're just letting that simmer a little bit, getting some feedback on players. So we have a couple other small demos that we are working on. We have a couple other like products we're working on that can help with generating games or like building games with you. But this week I'll show you around. We're taking this old 2D demo of our crafting system, and we are giving it a big old world to exist in. Like a more casual 2D game, but you can get a sense of the world here. I'll show you the actual game mechanics in a separate window in a second. But the gist is you're in this town. You're a little alchemist. You can combine any two items to craft something new. You're going to meet NPCs in town that have their own quests and things. So we're kind of in the middle of a town here. This is our like original simulator scene for when we didn't have a town. But we can see like Walter the blacksmith has some quest that forge is unbearable. He needs something that can get some cooling water or something. So basically you can go and craft some stuff. You could forage some stuff. Let's get some water and That's probably good enough. You could buy some stuff. Anything here that seems useful? Probably not. But we'll take some water and just like put it in an empty bottle. So we get a bottle of water. And then, you know what? Let's mix that with an unfinished potion. We get a diluted potion. Not the best, but it does say that it quenches thirst. So we can give that to him. We got some AI systems that reason about whether or not that will actually solve the quest or not. And then he'll tip you and give you some new items and you can move on. That didn't help his quest, so we didn't gain any like friendship points. But that's the core loop of talk to NPCs, learn about their problems, craft things like however you want, really. If you combine a first aid kit and a chandelier, we don't have a crafting recipe for that, but you can still do that and you get a illuminated first aid kit. So there's lots of fun stuff to explore. Let me catch up on chat real fast. Chrono Trigger, that's this game. I wish it were this game. Chrono Trigger is wild. Great replay. I've been watching Hollowed Luck replay it and being like, man, should I be streaming that soon? It's been so long since I played it. I usually don't ever finish it because I just get lost in like doing stuff in the game, and then I'm like, oh, I don't want to finish it because then the game will be over. So you know how it goes. But very cool game, would recommend. I think I've mentioned it to you a few times to stream, Human. I think you should. I completed the first ending, debating on moving on to the next game or go for alt endings. Yeah, I mean, I would love to see you play Chrono Cross too. Again, I'm living vicariously through you because I know how many hours I would sink in those. So I would be interested in watching that as well. Game test on a freelance level. How did I not know this? I didn't know you were a game tester. I just thought you were a little gamer playing Chrono Trigger. I misunderstood your joke. Oh, I was wondering if it was a joke, and I missed it. Sorry about that. It's not this game that you're working on. More like, Chrono Trigger is a game, isn't it? Yeah, I know. I talk about it all the time. I know. Am I familiar with Azure Dreams? I'm not. That's a game, right? For SNES, is it? Game Boy Color or PlayStation? I think either I saw you streaming this recently or I saw somebody on like TikTok streaming this recently. I've never played it before though. It looks very like JRPG. Is that correct? It's hard to get some actual screenshots here. What's the gameplay look like? Lots of grids. I wonder if it's turn-based. Probably someone else. I was debating on it or Cross. Yeah. I mean, I'm biased towards Cross because I love that game and I've never played this game, but I would be interested in seeing this too. Especially if you like this game a lot. It's always fun to watch other people play like games that they like that you haven't seen. Excuse me. Random generated tower with 40 plus 4s and catch 'em all. Now that's interesting. You didn't tell me there were Pokemon mechanics in this game. Fireball was obtained. It's a ball that has magic inside. And chess turn-based. Interesting. That's... Tony Sprocket, you still in the chat? We're going to need you to generate chess for us and also give it Pokemon mechanics where you catch chess pieces and you use those when you play other people. There's our $1 million game idea right there. But that's really interesting. Yeah, I would definitely watch either of those games. One's very interesting, like haven't heard of a game like that, and one of them is good old nostalgia. So whichever one you go for, I'll check it out. Let's go ahead and... Oh yeah, I guess I can show you around some more because I don't think you've been in one of my streams before. I mentioned like this 2D game doesn't really do justice to the stuff that we've been building. Let me ban that person real fast. But we actually have a much cooler 3D version, which I guess I could bring up on Steam. Steam Elixir Emporium. Oh, not that page. No info leaks there. Steam, not Steamworks. Elixir Emporium. So we put out a demo of this, which is basically what I just showed you, but in a 3D world. And, you know, that's how you find the Steam page, but I can just open it up. This is latest version, I think. No, it is not. Let me open it from Steam. But yeah, the story is the same in this one. You're a traveling alchemist. You can combine items. There's a lot more to do because we wanted to roll into the RPG like open world stuff. So there's also skills you can train. All the items have stats, and equipment it has effects and stuff. Let me kill that. You can, like, same sort of thing, you can combine whatever you want. So scrap leather and herring doesn't have a recipe, but you can go ahead and craft that. Oh boy, where's my... That's playing in the background. All right, so we crafted a leather water skin, and you can also use any item you craft on any object in the game. So like we can take our leather water skin and run over here and use it on this pine tree to like harvest whatever would make sense if we use leather water skin from a pine tree. So we're gonna get some pine sap from there. Again, you can use that, like pine sap and bread. Could be delicious. I don't know. And once you've crafted tools, you can start leveling up your skills that the tools are related to. There's a whole world to explore. There's all the same NPCs. You're just going through town to meet them all. And I'll just run up here, and this is Tutorial Road, where there's very few items to interact with, but the gate is closed to town. Earthquake caused it, so this guy's gonna need any tool at all to be able to open the gate. So you talk to him. He's gonna tell you his problem in the same way that I already closed the window. In the same way that the NPCs did before. He's like, "Hey, I need a tool. We got a little bug here. Don't worry about that." So I'm gonna grab what I know. Oh right, gotta use our bare hands on the pine tree to get some sticks. Run over here, get some stone, combine stick and a stone. We got a primitive hammer, so we can go talk to him again. He's like, "Hey, you got that tool yet?" Give him the tool, and then he can actually execute actions in the game based on reasoning over what you've given him. So he opened the gate, and now you can head into town and meet all the other people. So lots of cool stuff there. We just put out a new update for this where we switched to a WASD movement system instead of like click to move. Still some more stuff to improve there, but you know, it's a work in progress. And you know, you got items throughout the whole world to find. You got lots of NPCs to meet. I think there's 3-ish towns that you can explore. And you can just run out into the world and find all the cool stuff. But yeah, there's that. So all of that is very cool. This week we're just working on like a 2D version, basically. So yeah. Human is wishlisted. Downloading demo. Oh, thank you. I'll have to check it out. I love testing stuff. We would love to have your feedback on whatever you find. Let me also link our Discord here. As I said, like we put out this demo a few weeks ago, and we've been working on a lot of other stuff. So Any feedback you have is much appreciated, but especially on like the actual mechanics and like systems that we've built. We know the input's a little buggy, but we're trying to figure out really cool ways to use like the latest technology to enable some mechanics that weren't possible before. So like the crafting system, I guess I didn't show off workstations, but they act very similarly. You can kind of explore those yourself. But lots of stuff to check out in there. Human added translations for Japanese, Chinese, and finally German, only to realize the German texts are full of errors. You'd think of all the languages, German would be the one that you'd get right, though, Human. ChatGPT Y. Makes me wonder if the Japanese and Chinese texts are wrong, too. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. Um, Too bad I don't speak any of them and can't check them, but that's a little wild that they would be so wrong. Uh, let's see. Did I miss a message? Me and ChatGPT been fighting for weeks. Who won? Well, with -10 luck, I never really win at anything, but got some scraps from it I could use. Okay, okay. Well, good luck. We have been having a lot of luck lately using the new Gemini model, the 2.5. I think it's just Gemini 2.5. Seems very, very good at coding specifically, but also like just a lot of general tasks, which is kind of exciting. I had kind of switched, like I was using 4.0 a little bit for some stuff and 4.5 for very little stuff, but Claude 3.7 also very, very good. Um, but I think Gemini might be a little bit better. So it's kind of cool to see all that going on. Get some like, we can basically, am I going to regret opening this? Let me make sure I have no API keys showing. Yeah, we're good. We're good. This game runs on our API. That all the games that we've been working on run on this API, but we built it so we can just like easily click around and add new models, which is super nice for like when new models come out. We're like, all right, we'll take that one then. Free updates, thank you. All right, all right. I know that I've been getting distracted and was about to write some code, didn't write any code, but I need to take a quick bathroom break. Maybe that'll be perfect for me to come back and actually jump in, write some more code. We'll get this rigged up. It'd be nice if we got some basic crafting done on stream today. But I will be right back. Just 1 minute. I'll let y'all meet each other and go get some drink. And don't worry about the distractions. I love getting distracted. I mean, if I wanted to just sit down and work, I would just sit down and work. Stream is fun. I'll be right back. Wrong scene. Alrighty, where were we? I got chat to catch up on. I got coffee to drink. I got water to drink. I got code to write. We are still on the Glass Animals album, which is kind of surprising because I definitely thought it would be over by now. We got Still Woozy queued up next. And let's catch up on some chat. Good to know. I can do some code-wise. I can do some stuff code-wise myself. It's the art I struggle with. Being autism and aphantasia. Interesting. Aphantasia. It's when you like see colors as numbers or like have... Oh, that's not at all what I was thinking of. Struggle to see things in their mind's eye. Interesting. Oh. That's interesting. Never heard about aphantasia. How is that? Limits my creativity by a ton, so art design of that nature is not possible for me without external existence. You see the red apple when you read it. I know the apple is red, its shape, it's an apple, but I can't see the apple in my head. Only hear the words of inner voice. It's wild sometimes to explain to people. Huh, that sounds difficult, yeah. I learned a few weeks back that there are people that don't have an internal monologue, like just like thoughts on the inside, or like when they think of words, they're not like hearing them or seeing them, which is absolutely wild, I think. Wish I could quiet that voice. It's good and sometimes like categorize and stuff of that nature and drastically assist me with deduction. Ooh, I have little to no artistic capability. Interesting. You're the opposite of aphantasia. Yeah, I could definitely see how like either side of the spectrum is very, very rough. But that's cool to learn about. Hope it's not too bad. Let's and I saw that you said you do game testing freelance, right? Do you do any game development as well? Or you more... I typically follow like game developers and stuff, but I saw you playing Chrono Trigger, so I couldn't resist. So I'm curious if there's any overlap there. Let's go ahead and get this in. I'll do my best to both talk and code. We'll see. Open scene additive. Cool. Let's go look at our scripts, find out where we draw our inventory. Redraw inventory list. Perfect. So our inventory is going to be disabled by default, although we could have it enabled and then redraw it and then disabled it. Or more likely, what we should probably do is just draw it every time we show it. So let's go ahead and wait. Why? Okay. Let's set up some of our flow here. We've got our... Why did we call this inventory window manager? Oh, right. That's the old script. All right. Let's we'll keep that. All right. So we've got our inventory window manager and our keyboard shortcuts script. So here, what we will do is add a public void redraw window. And then here, we'll have a bool is showing is equal to, if it's currently active, then we are closing it. So we want, if it's not currently active, we are showing it. We'll say is showing, and then we'll say if is showing, we also call window inventory dot that dot redraw window. Perfect. Sadly not. I really wanted to learn or get into it, but I have base knowledge of development. It was my dream job since I was a kid. I have to put a parallel development for me to keep focused on learning it. I work mainly in cybersecurity now, but with health and little ones, I have been out of work since last August. Ooh, yeah, dang. So when I see you dev on stream, I was like, heck yeah. Well, glad it could help there. Yeah, I actually only transitioned into game development a couple years ago. Tony Sprocket and I are working on this studio together. Before that, I was a web developer for like 10 years. But before that, I didn't work in cybersecurity, but that was my main hobby as more of a teenage person interested in computers. So it's interesting to see that parallel there. But that's very cool, though. That's a very, very cool industry to be in, I think. But happy to let you live a little vicarious through me as well. Let's draw this window. So this is where we're going to populate our grid. And what we'll do is just grab our UI references window over here. And we can basically just yoink this logic over. We're just going to need a new prefab. So we will need our public game object inventory grid. Let's do grid inventory actually. Keep consistent with how we're doing other stuff. So we don't need that. We will clear our inventory grid at first. That's just going to be this. We iterate over each child of that. So let's set that reference real fast. Here is our grid. Scroll rect contents is here. So let's set that on our panel. Why did this not compile? Where's our console window? Console. Clear. Oh, right. Yes. Compilation errors would keep it from compiling. Let's go ahead and that needs to be a transform, I think. And this can just be commented out for now. We'll come back to that. So that way it will compile and we can go ahead and set that reference. I started as a computer repair building, sadly, because I couldn't go to college and all that jazz. Then moved to remote work, so focused security and remote IT. I mean, I would still say very, very cool. Remote IT hasn't been my favorite jobs that I've had, but remote security sounds very, very fun. I originally was like kind of a programmer within the security area, like a lot of reverse engineering and like network security, like server security type stuff. It would be fun to get back into, but it seems like a industry that you kind of need to be like all in and like dedicate a lot of time and effort to, and less of like just do it as a hobby type thing. I don't know if I have the time to do it. Team Blue. Yeah, I did a little bit of, if I understand the references, I did a little bit of the red team as well. And that was partially why I kind of stopped doing it when I was more of an adult. All right, let's get this logic working. We got our items sorted by name. I guess we don't really need to do that, but we'll keep that for now because we'll have different sorts and stuff. But for each item, we're going to instantiate our new grid thing. You get that? Yeah. There's some fun stories there. But I think just like computer security as a whole is so cool, but also like as a web developer, as a like backend engineer, it really teaches a lot of fundamentals that are very, very useful for like securing your server, but also like understanding how things work. So I think that's super cool. Let's go ahead and make a grid item, new prefab. See what we can do. Let's get our cat to not eat my leftover lunch. Say hi to Dimitri. He would very much like the tiny, tiny scraps of ground beef that are in the bowl on my desk, but he cannot have them because he is a cat. What? Yes, and actually this little guy, he's been on anti-anxiety medication for the last like 2 weeks-ish. Because there are a lot of neighborhood cats and things that come up to our door and like try and start fights with him, and he gets very, very anxious and afraid. So we tried to get him a little help there. And the day that we took him off of it, there were 2 gigantic raccoons that showed up at our back porch, and both of them were just like peering in through the window, like pawing at the door, and Dimitri was on the other side of the windows like, what is going on? What is this? So bad timing on that front. And he's also mad that he no longer gets treats twice a day, which was the only way we could get him to try his medicine. So he's really struggling right now. And I won't even give him my lunch. So did you literally just say I'm about to eat my leftover lunch? Say hi to Dimitri. No. I mean, he would love to eat my leftover lunch, but maybe he'll get a little piece of meat later. We'll see if he's good. Sounds like not the trash pandas. They live in Kitty's mind rent free now. Yeah, I mean, even just like the birds in the neighborhood live rent free in his head. He is literally always at the window, just like tail wagging back and forth. Last night there was a really, really large neighborhood cat that came to our window and was like, he was basically making demon sounds, like as if he were fighting the cat, but they were both just attacking the window at the same time. And I ran downstairs and I was like, what is going on? Did you die? And I picked him up and he was just like shaking and breathing so hard. So maybe we'll get him a little bit more little treats or something to have him make a little better time. But when there's no animals at the back door, he has a great time. He loves the birds here. Okay, so we have a lot of stuff currently for our 2D game, organization-wise, and a lot of it will be reused for the 3D, for the still 2D, but now like has a world scene. I'm wondering if we might want to reorganize some stuff, or if we can just dump stuff where they will be. Like we have UI, like component controllers, we can probably start rewriting because we don't necessarily need to keep the old versions with the old setup. But I'm looking for like our prefabs. All of these are going to be pretty different. So let's even just say like the menu simulator version of prefabs, and then we'll also have prefabs retro arcade, which is more of the vibe we're going for. So in here we're going to need a grid item, which will be the equivalent of our item display. Yeah. So that has an item display controller on it. So let's grab that. Oh, it does not look good in a prefab environment. Item display controller. Let's go ahead and delete all these now. And we are going to need here public game object prefab item display. So that's our prefab that will instantiate, and we'll put it in this as a parent. We grab All right, we'll just make this a transformer so I don't need to cast it everywhere. We'll put it in that as a parent, and then we grab our item display controller and load in the data for it. So we need to go write this code to work with our new prefab. Easy peasy. So basically we need an item name label, a type label, value label, and maybe we don't even need the name because we'll have tooltips. And let's see, how does the type look? I don't think it does anything, right? Do we ever see types? No, I don't think so. Nah, we're good. We don't need that. So the one thing that we're basically removing everything and just adding images, and we probably should add the value. So let's go grab item value and coin. Yoink that out, go over to our grid item. I mean, actually, now that I think about it, that might also make more sense in just the tooltip. Because it'd probably be pretty loud to just have this repeated in your inventory. What is this? Notify. Oh, right. Okay. So yeah, maybe we only use images now, interestingly. But what we will do in the meantime, let's put a stack size label here. And then let's also just go ahead, because we don't have the image references by default. We need to still build all that. Let's go ahead and just put the item title in here. Let's say item name, anchor it to expand, and make it nice and tiny, centered. And that way we can rig this up using the old code and it'll just work. Axe of axing seems reasonable. Let's go a little bit smaller. But let's clear that out, and then we can just link that as our item name label. And yeah, we need to add in stack sizes and stuff, but we're just going to get stuff working real fast. Oh yeah, we even have type commented out. So that was a great time to just clean stuff up too. Let's do public text mesh pro UGI item stack size label. And I don't know that we have that stored on the item itself. We do not. So you know what? We'll just no stacking on this either. We'll add that in later. But with our item display controller, we should get a lot of the like click and drag tooltip stuff should just work theoretically. I mean, there's going to be some logic we need to change, but we are doing it. Name label here. Let's go look at the item class. Yeah, we'll need to add in the image storage here as well, but we'll do that another time. It's not super important. And then tooltip here on pointer enter. We're using gameplay references stuff, which we can bring over. Should be fine. We just needed the item name label basically. So let's get a little bit of a smaller, less obtrusive icon because we'll reuse it for all of our images until we get new images in. Let's say equip or like chest. Just something for the background for now. that ideally is mostly dark because we have white text on top of it. You know what? Let's do like this and we'll just darken it. That's fine. But if we were to load this right now, it should show all of our items. I feel like there would be errors because we need to set up like the gameplay references stuff. It's got a pooled item tooltip. You might even just, let's bring that over and then we'll use something very similar because we're going to need reference stuff anyway. Can we clear this easily? No, we cannot. Gameplay references. All right. So we'll work through and fix most of this, but let's just play and see where the errors are. Maybe that's a good place to start. All right, couple problems there. One, wrong scene. But two, we need to actually start at the title screen because that's where things get set up. Where's our scenes? Start screen. And then we need to transition to 2D Town instead of Town Simulator. So I'm going to guess this menu, new game, start game button, probably hard codes in the name of the scene somewhere. Fade out scene and start game, start new game, sure, Town Simulator. 2D Town. Right? Was that correct? 2D Town, yes. And we also need to add it to the build settings so we can do that. So we open 2D Town, we add open scenes, we save, we go back to the start screen, we press play, and we are golden. I still can't believe that we are still on the Glass Animals album. I've been streaming for like 2 hours. How long is this album? Did I queue it up twice or something? Surely I did, because this album's only 45 minutes long. Hope y'all don't mind double Glass Animals. Alright, new game. Does kick us over. I'm sure we get errors. We get hello in a lot of places for whatever reason. I did not write this code. Let's just nix that. Let's go see our actual errors. Null reference on update inventory count label. Okay, yeah, sure. So we know that's not null because we checked it here. That's null, so it's got to be like instance.inventory. Let's go check our game manager. We do have the inventory. Grid inventory of inventory window doesn't exist anymore. Interesting. Probably need to reassign grid inventory variable. Oh, right, because I changed it to a transform. Okay. Instead of just a game object. Let's do that real fast. So we go back to, what is this on? Inventory window manager, 2D town, canvas, panel inventory. This guy needs 1, our new prefab grid item, and 2, just reset that since it's complaining about it. Let's see if that still errors up on us. Right, this is fine. I'm not worried about that error. But when we press tab to draw our inventory, we don't have any items, which means the code is partially running because we're clearing out the one item. But here, we error because this is going to be null. Okay, can work with that. So let's fix both of these. So first of all, let's just make things easy on that. Exit out. Let's go to this error. Pooled item tooltip. Let's go set one of those. And I'm sure it's probably easiest to just go town simulator, find our pooled item tooltip here, and grab this item and bring it over. So gameplay references, item tooltip. Now we have that guy, which is going to look like that off screen, intentionally so. Okay, let's just play again, see if we can get some more errors. The best way to code. Just write some code and then focus on errors. All right, so here we've set this breakpoint so we can see what exactly is null. Which, interestingly, it looks like inventory count label is null. However, we shouldn't be running this code, this line, if it is null. I don't think a race condition would be modifying whether this reference is null or not. So let's actually do our breakpoint up here for next time. But we do have an inventory on our game manager instance, the count of 0, which is fine. But inventory count label on our gameplay references is null. So we can fix that next time. All right, tooltip is around. That's fine. Right, it has a script that follows your mouse, so we want it disabled. Follows your mouse, so we want it disabled by default. We don't yet have the grid drawing yet, so let's just set a label on inventory count. This guy. We'll go look at our panel inventory. I mean, we don't even need a label right now, so we don't even need to fix that. Seems less important for a grid, but we can add it in later if we want. But I want to know why we are not drawing all of our items. So let's put our breakpoint over there and just trace through. So here, sorted items. Let's roll on in. Right, there's nothing else I needed to add there. Oh, right, let's turn this guy off by default. Those are all set. All right, let's also turn the inventory off by default. Which I guess it does it for us. All right, so here, what the hell? Sum41 uploaded a new music video. That's wild. New music video too, not even just like a new album, new song. Like, I'm gonna have to check that out. I feel like, did like Blink-182 also do a concert recently or something? I feel like it's a return to our teenage years that's happening. I ain't even mad about that. All right, let's trace through here. We got 0 items to draw. Interesting. Now, why is that? Game manager has nothing in the inventory. Let's continue on through here. I mean, if there's nothing in the inventory, that makes sense. Although we probably should be drawing like a empty grid or something. But close that. I want to look at the game manager, which is here. There is nothing in the inventory. Interesting. So if we say potato, description of it's a potato, value 5, weight 2, durability 10, and then we open our inventory. We have one item in our inventory. We create a grid prefab. We load that item data in. We have a potato. Okay. So the items aren't being added to the inventory. That's our first bug we can fix. Blink-182 had some kind of comeback, but I don't think it went good. Oh no. Yeah, I mean they're like also like 80 years old by now, right? Rammstein had a new comeback recently too. Yikes. Yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna do? I guess it's a classic band. Why not try again? Huh, I'll have to check out the Sum 41 music video. I actually for stream queued up the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 playlist originally on accident, but it was a good vibe for the first few songs. If they're bored, they should do what they want. Yeah, I mean, there's gonna be people that go to Blink-182 or Sum 41 concerts or whatever. Like, that's people will do it, so why not? Also, I'm realizing we don't have anything in our inventory because we didn't start from the start screen. That is a big problem there. And also, while we're here, let's go ahead and just that stack size cleared out too, so we don't have the number 2 on everything. But let's try this. Probably people around our age, I think. Yeah. How old am I? I just told somebody the wrong age like yesterday. I told them I was a year older than I was. So it's 2025 now. I'm about to turn my new age. 91. I'm 33. Magical. I'm 33, Human. And I think, if I remember right, you're just a couple years younger. Is that correct? Or how old are you? I get to ask you now, right? Okay, update coordinate label. Yeah, we don't need to do that either. You know what? All these we can just kind of nix out here. We will want a gold label in our inventory though. Recipe viewer button. Yep, don't need to do that. Set up anything else that needs to load. Yeah, don't do that, don't do that. All right, golden. Let's try and open our inventory. We now have 15 items. So we added one and then aired out. Okay. So let's just trace through that again. You're 32. Yeah, I thought I remember you saying something like that. Like 33 here, 34 over there. Nice. So we're all just, I mean, we are living our best lives, I guess. Yeah, let's jump into load item data. See where we are. I think it was one of these two lines. Item name label, item name is set. Sure, we run that. Item value label is null. Okay, so that's going to cause an error. Let's just exit out and go fix that. We all grew up in the 90s, basically. The 90s and early 2000s are our formative years, so soon we'll have people on stream that are just chatting amongst themselves saying the exact same things but about like One Direction, and it's going to be weird. Let's see, grid item. What was the line? Item value label was not set on this guy. Value label. Oh, right, because we didn't add. Right, we removed that. That's fine. We actually didn't want that on the item anyway. We were putting that in the tooltip. Let's go see if we use that anywhere else. Label. No. Okay, cool. Let's actually just delete it. All right, let's try this again. I really miss these times. Yes, I do and don't miss it. Exactly. Like I was just talking to my wife yesterday about like young me just loved like running out into fields and playing with rocks for days. And I would love to do that again. But boy, howdy, are there so many things that I have to do as an adult now. So many PTSD flashbacks of just everything that has happened since then. There's a lot of stuff. All right, we've got our items. Pre-smartphone era is so undervalued. It really is. Like, I didn't even have a smartphone until like I graduated college almost. I used an iPod Touch for my GPS navigation. All right, we now have items in our inventory, which is great. We need to rig up drag and drop, and we need to rig up tooltips. I think tooltips would be both easier and more fun and cooler to see in the end. So we'll do tooltip. We will do tooltips next. All right, so we need to know if on pointer enter is firing. And when it is, we do have a pooled item tooltip. So we need to know whether that's loading with data and getting flipped active correctly. So let's double check that breakpoints work. Let's go make sure that we have our tooltip linked here. We do. And it's the tooltip itself that's gets set enabled, so that's correct. All right, so we'll just see where the breakdown is. We'll trace through. Alrighty, gotta jump off now. I'm watching 2 more episodes of Solo Leveling. What is Solo Leveling? And then go to bed. Have fun with the rest of your stream. Bye-bye, humans. Thank you for being here, human. It's been real nice. I know I shouted you out earlier, but lucky, or not lucky, hollowed luck. Human has someone in his stream that goes by Lucky. Hollowed luck, if you want to follow more game devs, Human is another good one. He's working on a horror game, so kind of the opposite of this vibe. But I watch his streams a lot too. You'll find me there. But I'll see ya. Really good anime, 2 seasons, 12 each. All right. It sounded like either like a podcast about game development or not a clue. Anime makes sense. So there we go. All right, so we don't actually hit these breakpoints. So on pointer enter never fires for our item display controller, which probably means we maybe don't have raycasts rigged up correctly. Let's go look at right panel, scroll rect contents, this guy. It is a raycast target. I guess something else could be blocking it. I'll be sure to follow shortly. There we go. Human gives me all the shoutouts in the world, so I feel like I should throw him back what little shoutouts I can. He's Mr. Successful on Twitch over here, and I'm riding on his coattails. All right, so why is this not firing? We are using on pointer enter. We implement on pointer enter handler, yes. There could be something in front of it, I guess. It does have a shadow, which I've never used before, but I think is probably fine. Oh yeah, for sure. It's good to know. I'll have to harass him some next. Kidding, of course. Always welcome to drop in on my bad luck gameplay, though. Heck yeah, yeah. I'll definitely hit up your stream. When do you next stream, Hollowed? Especially with you thinking about starting a new game, maybe I can get in early and make sure I follow from the get-go instead of jumping in halfway through. All right, so what I think we should probably do, we can start from the top and just start looking at like what has raycast targets and what doesn't enabled. Because we're not really going to use our mouse for like interacting with the world, so we don't really need to like block raycasts with like the background. Left panel has stuff which we're not using. Right panel, tab menu, sure. None of these are gonna block anything because they're way up there. Tab line, scroll rect could be an issue, but we need to have the raycast targets because we need to be able to scroll it. We got our grid, which shouldn't be an issue. Rect mask, sure. All right, here's what we should do. Let's do a little, we could set up a little like debug click events for if you click down, show what object your mouse is over, and that'll show like the topmost item so we can see if something else is rendering like in front of this. Maybe it's actually, we just added the text. I bet that's it. Let's test that real fast because that's probably an easy fix. So like we have the image here on the top level item that has a raycast target, which is what fires on the item display controller, but we just added this item name text, which is somewhere, I guess. Can I not see grid items out of context? Oh, we're in play mode. Okay. Let's do this. So grid item. Well, I was going to show off visually, but this thing expands to the whole size, and we have raycast target enabled on that. So it's drawing on top of this. It's probably in the way of triggering that tooltip. Let's try this once more. Debating either here in an hour or two. I'm working on a UI that fits Chrono Cross and Azure Dreams. Ooh, setting it up in OBS, but I messed up some of the ratios. I haven't actually ever set up like a proper UI in OBS. I mean, you can kind of see down here I have this like orange bar. That's the most I've done. It'd be fun to do sometime. I know my wife streams as well, and she goes really big into like setting up the UI and stuff, and it always looks so good. But I feel like anytime I'm not streaming, I'm usually not thinking about streaming, and then I start streaming and I'm like, oh man, I should have set that up. Okay, that fix did not work. I'm also noticing I would expect some of these to have like a button component and therefore get the little effect when you click on them. Oh, we're also not even attached to Unity, so there's that. But I'm curious why seemingly no clicks are working. Do we have events set up? 2D town. We do have an event system. What is this error? Chooses the old input manager using the new input system and have the old disabled. Well, that would explain a lot. Click the button below to replace this component with an input system UI input module, which uses the new input system. Okay. Will that fix everything? Simplicity is nice at times. Heck yeah. And big true, I do the same thing. Okay. Oh, wait. This is just our inventories, which suspiciously we have no items, but I could have sworn I just started from the title screen. Did I not? I did not. I don't know what I'm doing here. Start screen, press play. Now this song, Pogo. Pogo is a vibe, first of all. Maybe I should just queue up his songs here. But I'm so confused at what I must have done to queue up Spotify before stream. Because I'm pretty sure we just played like Glass Animals Zaba album twice in a row instead of the second album I queued up. Let's queue up some songs real quick. Add to queue. Add to queue. Add to queue. add to queue, and add to queue. That'll be good. Yeah, let's give this a shot now. All right, so we should have items again. Hovering over still doesn't do anything, nor does clicking. I wonder if the events that we have, wonder if they even work in the new input system. So we can test that. We can also just say like, does this interface still work in Unity's new input system? I know that it does, actually. Uses the old input system. Right. Okay. We've done this. Yeah, I don't particularly want to like rewrite all of our old controls just to use the new input system, which doesn't really give us much extra. But let's see. Yeah, we could do that. Do we want to do that though? Oops, doxing myself on screen. Let's see. How do we want to do this? Because I think let's just go to the player settings. Let's enable both new and old input systems. I don't really want to use the new input system to be working on it. So we could remove it here, but I think the better thing is probably just go to player settings, wherever it is. Project settings. Yeah, that has it. And then we can go to input settings. I think there's like a both option in here. Input manager. Let's do, Let's see if it's easy to just undo. Also, got a new person. Can't see the name until I stop streaming, but welcome. I bet it's hollowed luck. Edit project settings, navigate to player settings, sure. Find active input handling in the other settings section. Other settings. Right, because that makes sense of where it'd be. Player, other settings, okay. So we're looking for input settings now. Right. He joined into it. I haven't dug into it yet. Well, welcome in. Shout out to, if you check out the Sage help, I guess, if you ever want to learn more game development, we have some free Sage bots that help specifically with Unity, Godot, and Unreal. They work well enough that I use them all the time. So very handy little resource to have in that channel. But welcome on in. Other settings, look for active input handling. I don't know if I can search this well. Active input handling. active input handling both. Okay, so we do have both enabled already. So we don't even need to restart Unity. If we wanted to just go to the old, we could do that, but let's see. Let's see. Got this. Code not working. But I have both selected. Wood completely moving back. Have a difference. Have a different. Alright, so we need to figure out why on pointer enter isn't firing anymore. Like, there's a few different reasons. There could be a new way to do it. I don't really want to set up the actions though. If using both shouldn't inherently change. Yeah, so I bet it's just that this isn't firing correctly. We verified that it has an event system. That's correct, although it did have that error. Let's see if we still have a new error. Yeah, we definitely have the new input system there now, though. Input system UI input module. Is that, oh, that's what we already have. All right. Make sure they're covered by a graphics recaster on the canvas. Yeah, I think I tested that. Graphics recaster. We do ignore reversed graphics, but I don't think that that guy was reversed. No, he's not. Okay. Scalar looks fine. Canvas looks fine. For world objects, I'm not panicked about it. Double check your script is attached so the pointer events can be detected, and ensure that it's not being blocked by other UI elements. All right, so that is like the last piece. I kind of skipped to that without doing all the other pieces because I thought it might be it. So let's go ahead and here we'll do a, maybe not on this where we have lots of instances already in the scene, so we would print out lots of things at once. But instead, let's do a void update on mouse click debug.log whatever game object the mouse is hovering over. Will you do that for me, Copilot? If input.get mouse button down, left click is 0, I believe. So how do we do the raycast here? How do? We raycast out and get the first game object. Will this work for finding on pointer enter objects? No, that's what I thought. Well, yeah, I just want to be able to see them. Okay. I don't think that will work, but let's go ahead and print out what object we are colliding with when we click on what should be giving us a tooltip. So we go back to the start screen and we press play. So we click here, nothing fires. Interesting, because those do have colliders. But if we open this, we click on these, again, nothing fires. So either my if statement is wrong. Oh, right, that fires every frame. Breakpoint in here. Let's see if that fires on left click. Cool, cool, cool. We fire a raycast, we get nothing. Interesting. I mean, it could be a problem with like screen space since we're using a canvas here and not world space. But it's nice to know that it is like the actual raycast that's the problem here. Screen point to ray at mouse position. I think that makes sense. We shouldn't need to cast that to like screen point. So what's a dealio? Also, this song is ridiculous. Data and Picard by Pogo. Great song, but boy howdy is it a little silly. Okay, so we've switched the project over to the new input system. Let's go ahead and just queue into the old scene and see if tooltips still work there so we can bisect whether the configuration change is the problem or not. So we can just, instead of 2D town, we go into town simulator. Let's see if tooltips work over there. Because if they do, then it's something how we set it up over here, and probably a simpler fix than I think it is. If they don't work, it's like a project-wide thing. Okay, so they do, for sure. Okay, cool. Well, that's good news. I was worried I broke something bigger than that. So here, let's go back to 2D town. And let's take back our event system. Let's grab this guy. Double check that we don't have anything weird. Blocking objects, none. Blocking mask, everything. Sure. 2D town. On our canvas, we have blocking mask, everything. Blocking objects, none. I want to use this input system instead, though. Legacy one. And I don't think we need to link that on the canvas somewhere. Right. Let's try this again. So why? Window, general, console. Right, when we click, we don't hit anything with the raycast. So why? Let's go back looking here. Tooltip wouldn't block it because we don't show it originally. Border could be blocking it actually, because it's the entire window. That could be it. It's probably something dumb like that. And I did just add that on top of everything else. So let's just double check that. I don't know if raycasts pass through the transparency of images or not, right? Title screen. So if, I mean, I feel like they would collide with that alpha layer at least. So maybe that is the issue. Maybe. All right, that was the issue. All right, cool. Well, if we kill that breakpoint and go in, we should be able to get, right, let's kill all these breakpoints. So we have tooltips on all the items now, and we almost have drag and drop, but I know what it's doing here. When you pick it up, it's putting it, it's supposed to be putting it in a parent object to make sure it's on top of everything else, but we don't have that parent object set. It's going to be one of these. So we can go ahead and just go directly to it. And yeah, I guess we have some logic to rewrite here of, like, in our old system, we had everything in one window. So here, when you drag an item over here, the targets that you can drag it to are the element list, this box, the workbench, this box, the item drop-off panel for an NPC, or also things like the shop. I'm just now realizing that's probably dropping it. Well, that seems like a bug. But also the cell panel, the sell point. So like all that is getting moved out into that was wild. All that's getting moved out into separate windows and things. So like you would actually go to the shop and just open the shop panel. You would actually go to a crafting bench and just do the crafting here. So we can probably simplify a lot of this logic here. But I think that is a great point where I would like to like spend some time thinking through the flow, because we probably want to have some like polymorphic setup on Windows where they can accept items and they can write their own logic. So the crafting bench window can accept items into its space and have its own logic of like combining stuff if you drag it on into another item, or just like putting it in this space where you can drag it around. And then we'll have separate windows for like NPCs where they can accept an item, and if you bring them an item, it tries to solve the quest. And then shops and stuff, you drag in the item in, it sells it. Like all that logic can be moved to the specific windows that handle their own logic, versus this beast of a method that says like, all right, are we dragging it into the element list, into the workspace panel? Where are we dragging it from? Is the shop open? Like handling all that control flow from a single point is pretty rough. So it'll be really nice to reorganize this. And I think that's a great point of maybe ending the stream so I can spend some time digging into that. And like, it's been a long time since I've worked in this project, so I want to see the flows and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think we now have our inventory drawing in the inventory window. We can toggle the inventory window on and off. We've got tooltips for those items. We almost have drag and drop working. And once we have that working, we pretty much already have the logic for combining items. And I might also redo this UI to be more pixel themed. I might do something a little bit different than just like having a workspace you can drag and drop items around in. Like in 3D, we have specific item slots that you combine. Lots of design decisions there that I probably could talk about on stream and just like make random decisions. But I think it would be more fun for you guys if I took the time and thought it through and then showed stuff off next week when I have thought stuff through and can actually explain why I'm doing things. And also I'd love to get more water and snacks. So yes. Thank you, Hollowed Luck, for being here. Thanks, Human. I know you've gone to sleep. Tony Sprocket. Anybody else who's popped in? It's been nice having you here. I don't actually have anybody that I follow that is streaming right now. It's too bad Hollowed Luck isn't streaming some Chrono Trigger or something already. But y'all should follow him, and I will see you guys next week. We can, you know what, we can quickly find somebody who's doing some Unity development and we can raid them real fast. Viewers low to high. We just want to find somebody with like a camera that has not been streaming for like 10 hours or 4 hours. VR chat. We will just poke around. Hate watching game devs. Hoo boy. I don't know about that one. Hollow Knight. Alright. What do we got? If anybody has recommendations, feel free to drop them here too. How many viewers do you have, Manisha? 33. I think it would almost be, if I'm just dropping off a couple, probably not worth it. So yeah, I mean, there's only a few people to drop off. We're good. We can just come back next week. All is well. Thanks for being here, guys. I'll see you guys. I'm Andrew, Drusif. I will see you guys around. So thanks for being here. See you next week. Bye.